Hey everybody. This video we're going to talk about the power of generative AI and just how much you can do with something like ChatGPT to help you write an essay. Now, obviously, there's a line that we shouldn't cross for just having AI write your assignment for you. And so we're going to talk about that throughout this video. But let's start with an example. Okay, so what I have on the screen in front of me, these are instructions for the first essay in my English 101 class. It's a reader response essay. And what students need to do is they're going to be doing a reader response essay, which is, you're going to be responding to a text, giving opinions, discussing it, that sort of thing, from an OER text called 88 Open Essays, and I have that open right here. Okay, and I give the recommendation that you should choose one of the essays that motivates you to respond, because that's going to cue you up to do reader response. You do not have to pick an essay that you agree with, because you might want to respond, upset or disagree or something like that. I ask my students to include a well-developed and a clear thesis statement that expresses your response to the text. Use references to the text to support and explain your response in detail. I ask them to use MLA, avoid mistakes in grammar, and turn it in as a Word document. This is from the rubric for the assignment, but it's really simple. You need to read an essay, come up with a thesis statement and your response, and you have to use references to the text to talk about it. That's what I'm asking my students to do. Now, is this something that you can use AI to help you with? Help you? Yes. Is this something you can just have AI do for you? I don't recommend that. So let's talk about what's probably appropriate and what's not appropriate. So I'm going to open up ChatGPT. Okay, so there's a lot of things ChatGPT can do to help you think through ideas, to plan, to organize, to even polish your writing. As I've talked this over with my students, at least what they've shared with me, many students feel that using AI to brainstorm is probably okay. Using AI to outline is probably okay. Using AI to edit a paper is probably okay. Where they don't think it's appropriate is the actual writing part. And I do agree with that. When ChatGPT came out, and because it has the ability to not just find information, but to produce a response, to generate something that looks like student writing, I thought, okay, upside downside, this is changing everything, so we have to be able to adapt to it. Like that just is going to happen. So I want to get ahead of it and talk to students about it. When we have AI write something for us that requires critical thought, and it's for an assignment, that's what we're missing out on. We're missing out on the opportunity to learn how to think and to apply critical thinking. And that's the downfall. And that's really what English 101, a class that I teach, is trying to do. Is trying to give students the opportunity to think critically, to learn from other texts to improve their writing. And it's an iterative process. Our first essay is a reader response. You were just looking at the sample. Reader response is you start by learning how to respond to a text. Then you move on to analyzing a text. Then you move on to creating your own text using others as source materials. So it's a process to go from looking at what others are doing and writing about it to being the one that others would look at. That's how the course is designed. But if you just sit down and you just want AI to write it for you, well, you miss out on the learning that happens. You might be able to produce a product that might get you the grade that you want. But you miss out on learning, and that's where I get frustrated, right? But, so I'm going to show you good or bad, what is possible. Okay, so the assignment says you need to pick a text from 88 open essays. So let's walk through it. Let's just do it. So again, I'm going to open 88 open essays, and I'm just going to use number 1, the danger of a single story. So right from the very start, what I should versus what I could do when it comes to AI. What I should do, read the text, take notes on it, think about it, come up with original thoughts, find really good quotes that I want to include in my response. Those are things that AI shouldn't be doing for you, but can AI do it? Yes, it can. So let me show you. All right, I'm just going to select some text, and this is a few pages long. I'm scrolling. There's a limit to just how long, how much text AI can handle. So I copy that. And now go to AI. Depending on the prompt, I can get it to read the text for me. And this is probably already going a little bit too far. So let's come up with the prompt to have it basically read the text for me. Summarize the following essay. Including main points and important quotes. So I just copy and pasted the whole thing in there. Ooh, was it too long? Nope, now it's thinking. Okay, so here's something that ChatGPT is really good at. ChatGPT is really good at reading. Now, in another video, I'm going to talk about probably appropriate ways to use ChatGPT when it comes to reading. But if you're reading particularly difficult texts, I don't think there's a problem with that. But in a reader response essay where your response is key, you probably shouldn't be using a computer program to come up with your thoughts, right? Okay, so here's what it did in a really simple prompt and almost no effort. In Danger of Single Story, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie discusses the negative impact of only hearing or telling one perspective or version of a story. So it's just summarizing, gave me a summary of the text. It goes through and gives some examples. I remember I asked it to summarize the essay, including main points and important quotes. So it goes through, discusses some of these things. Key quotes. Single story creates stereotypes, and the problem with stereotypes is not that they're untrue, but that they're incomplete. It emphasizes how we are different rather than how we are similar, and it goes on. So it picked out 4 quotes for us. Now, what it didn't do is give any citations. Now, would it be difficult for a student to add citations? No. You can just, and I'm just modeling what's possible, right? I copy that, I go over here, and I can just find on my page. Where it says this. It's not finding it right now. It doesn't search Google Docs very well. But let's say you just downloaded it as a Word doc, which you can do because it's a Google Doc, and you search the page, it might pop up, and then you just cite it accordingly. So like it's not difficult to find the citations to go with this. Now if this was a notes assignment, which is something I ask my students to do, boom, notes are done, and it took 1 prompt. If it's an assignment, probably not something you should use AI for. But if you're just working on your own and you want to take notes on something, this is probably okay. It just saved you a whole lot of time, especially if you're doing a lot of research. Now, am I saying don't read the text? No, you should read the text. But if you struggle, this is something that can help it. In fact, I can just simplify. Whoops. I already copied earlier, so it didn't have that text anymore. But if I select the essay again, copy it. I could do it again. I could just say simplify it, and then it can rewrite it. I can say write it at an 8th grade level, a 6th grade level. It just summarized it, which is similar to what we had before. But if you struggle with reading, this is something that AI can do, is it can break things down for you. Now, are you reading the text at that point? No, but you might understand what it is so that when you do go through and read it, it can help. This is using AI as a co-pilot, as a resource next to you, helping you through the process rather than replacing you. And you can see there's a line. If I just want it to take the text and just do the work for me, it can do that, but now we're missing the critical thinking step, and that's not okay. But if you're like, I'm struggling to understand this essay, can you ask it to simplify or summarize or find main quotes? Yeah, it can do that. Okay, so just to model what's possible. You can ask it. It spits out, what's a thesis statement? What are the logical fallacies in the essay? It's just spitting out a list of logical fallacies, so it's not analyzing. So there's a lot of things that AI is really good at. It's really good at reading text, which, can be helpful for you, whether or not you should. But let's say I am trying to go through these steps. Now I've kind of modeled what it can do reading side. Why, right? Like up here, it's still trying to figure out the previous prompt, but let's go back to some of the things that it did before. Okay, so this was really useful. Let's say I want to come up with what my response is. Well, I can come up with a thesis statement, and let's say I want to write an outline using this. This is going to be really helpful to help me do an outline. Let's say I just want to copy this text. I'm going to go over to Word. I'm going to create my new blank document. Yoink. You just dump these in here. No, let's paste without deformatting. And then, of course, I want to go through and I want to add, what is it? I want to get the right citations, Adichie. Whatever the page number is, put that in. So you go through, you can do that. Let's say you want to come up with your, introduction, your main claim, and then you're going to come up with, some quotes. And you can find a way to, use this to create an outline. So let's talk about using AI as co-pilot versus replacing you. If I want AI to just replace me in this whole process, I can do that, unfortunately. Now, I can give it a simple prompt. No, not like that. I gotta go actually grab the essay again. So I'm just demonstrating what's possible. I'm not saying you should do this. This is what's possible. So we have the essay. We can go back here and we could say write a response essay, and it can do that. So again, the instructions ask for 750 words to respond to it, and it can start doing this, and it's doing it. Like, ChatGPT is capable of this. I wouldn't recommend you do this. This feels like you're missing out on the point. This is not the intention of the assignment, right? but this is what's possible. This is something you can do. Now, there are 0 citations in this. You could follow up and just fix it, but that's still not you writing it. That's someone else doing it. This is what's possible. But if you want to use it as a co-pilot, you could be like, help me brainstorm some ideas. You say, what are some of the main ideas? And let's say you look at this and you're like, yeah, that was a good idea, or that was a good idea, or that was a good idea. Now, you're not using AI to replace your process. You're using it to help you, right? And this is something that's possible. You can look through and you're like, okay, I did like how she talked about this, or I liked how she talked about this. And then you could brainstorm accordingly. And then you could create an outline, Now, it can come up with a simple template. So if you're not sure what to do, well, it could spit this out, and then you can plug in the information. So that this is showing what's possible versus maybe what you should do, right? Now your teacher may be more explicit and have more direction than this, but these are ideas for what you could do. This is not you writing an essay. It also didn't write one for you. This is just a template, right? Where you would fill in the information. Maybe you picked a quote from earlier that you liked and you could drop it in. What this doesn't know is your response. And that really is the point of an assignment like this, is to get you to think and to get you to learn how to express your ideas and to learn how to cite sources. That's not something that it's very good at. It's good at reading. And it can produce something like a sample template outline for you. It could do that. It can write an essay for you. But I wouldn't recommend you doing it for that. Again, like here was a sample essay that it just spit out, right? This is going too far. Now, let's say you've written an essay. Can it help you to fix it? Yes, it can. Use a prompt like fix the grammar, punctuation, and spelling in this essay, and you can do that. Is that okay? I think probably, right? But I will tell a story, and I think I said this in the previous unit. I had a student, they were using the AI features of Grammarly, and in Grammarly it was, it rewrote it so much that an AI detection software flagged it, right? So there's a fine line for all this. As I'm talking to my current students right now, asking them how they feel about AI, most of them are like, I'm going to kind of stay away, because a lot of students feel really weird about it, and I get that. I would not recommend that you do anything that makes you feel like you're cheating. I think that's bad, for sure. But I do think it's worth running it through a prompt like this, asking it to help you fix grammar, punctuation, and spelling. It can help you to do something like that, because it might find something. Here's a way to help you grade it too. Let's say again, let's look at the original prompt to figure out what you're being graded on. Okay, well-developed thesis statement, references to the text, citations, reader response. Okay, so let's go back to ChatGPT, and you can create, using the rubric for the assignment, you can ask it to grade it essentially based on that. Not to see what your grade would be, but to help you analyze whether it's doing what the assignment is supposed to be doing or not, beyond your own ability to figure out these sorts of things. So analyze this reader response essay for the quality of its thesis statement, response to the text, originality and conventions, something like that. So you could drop in an essay and then go boom. Does that make sense? Now what it's doing at this point is it's spitting out a paragraph talking about thesis statements, response to the text, originality, conventions, and I used the original text so because I didn't have a sample one, but this is one way that you can essentially see a computer grading your paper, see what that would look like. And then you can get some ideas. Oh, maybe I should go fix this. Maybe I should go fix that. These are all different ways, good and bad, that you can use AI to be part of the writing process. I think it's important to talk about this now because it's only going to become bigger. We know that Microsoft has invested heavily, according to reports, $10 billion into OpenAI, which produces ChatGPT. You already can see ChatGPT in products like Edge, their browser. It's showing up in other places. It's going to start showing up in their other software. It's going to be a co-pilot in Word. So you're going to have ChatGPT essentially on the side of the page in Word. And a lot of the things I've done are probably things you're going to be able to do with it. And that's on top of the powerful editing and recommendations that are already built into Microsoft. The line is going to get fuzzy for what's okay and what's not okay. My recommendation is, okay, if it's something you could do and you're just trying to speed up the process and it doesn't think for you, well, maybe that's okay. But if you're struggling and you need some assistance, some computing power beyond your own brain, there may be a fine line. Can you get it to read text for you that you're struggling with, like Shakespeare? Okay. But it's still not the same as reading Shakespeare. Use it as a co-pilot. Do it side by side. When it comes to writing and generating text, yeah, no, that should be you. But when it comes to editing and fixing text, well, maybe it can help you with that. And I've shown you a number of different ways to do that. So it's incredibly powerful. There's not a whole lot of clarity on how you should use it yet. So this is really a gray area. I think it's better to err on the side of caution rather than to push it too far. So I'd encourage you, be careful as you use AI. But if you have questions, you can always ask your teacher. If I'm your teacher, you can always talk to me and we can figure out what's appropriate for your project and work through it. So I hope that this was helpful, but I'd love to know what you think. All right, that's it for this demo. I'll see you in the next video.